Sinister stories.
The old Victorian mansion stood atop a hill, its shadow cast long by the setting sun. Abandoned for decades, it had become the stuff of local legends, rumored to be haunted by the restless souls of the past. On this crisp autumn evening, a group of teenagers gathered outside, their faces lit by the eerie glow of their smartphones. Among them was Claire, a spirited and adventurous girl with a penchant for the supernatural. She'd convinced her friends to join her on this ghost hunting expedition, armed with a newly discovered app that promised to communicate with spirits. It was called Spirit Link, and according to the App Store description, it was designed to be a light-hearted way to reach out to the other side. Claire grinned as she showed the app to her friends. "Come on, guys, let's see if we can find any ghosts in there," she exclaimed, her voice filled with excitement. The group hesitated, exchanging skeptical glances, but curiosity eventually got the better of them. After all, it was just a silly app, right? As darkness fell, the friends gathered in the mansion's grand foyer, the pale beams of their flashlights cutting through the gloom. Claire opened the app and began typing a message. "Is anyone there?" They watched as the words appeared on the screen, followed by a pause. Then, the message changed as if someone or something was typing in response. "Yes." A shiver ran down Claire's spine, but she didn't let it deter her. "Who are you?" The response came quickly this time. "I am lost." Claire's friends exchanged glances, their unease growing. But Claire pressed on. "Can you tell us more?" The spirit's messages became more detailed, revealing a tragic tale of a young girl who had died in the mansion many years ago. Her name was Emily, and she'd been lonely and afraid. The group listened, captivated by the story, and even as they felt a growing sense of unease, they couldn't bring themselves to stop. Over the next few nights, they returned to the mansion, communicating with Emily through the Spirit Link app. They asked her about her life, her fears, and her regrets. She told them that she'd never had friends when she was alive, and she was grateful for their company, even in this ghostly form. The teenagers grew closer to Emily, and they considered her a friend. But as the days passed, they noticed subtle changes in her messages. She began to mention other spirits, ones she claimed were not as friendly as her. They were the ones who whispered sinister things in the dark corners of the mansion, she said. One night, as they huddled together in the mansion's parlor, Emily's messages took a darker turn. "They want to hurt you," she warned. "You need to leave." The friends exchanged worried glances. "Who wants to hurt us?" Claire typed back. "The others. They don't like you here," Emily replied. Just as Claire was about to respond, the room grew bitterly cold. The air seemed to thicken, and their breaths formed visible puffs in the frigid air. They felt an oppressive presence pressing down on them, and the walls of the mansion seemed to close in. Terrified, the group fled the mansion, leaving behind the eerie app that had connected them to Emily. They assumed it was just a prank, a clever piece of programming designed to scare them. They agreed to put the whole experience behind them and never return to the mansion again. But the terror had only just begun. Over the following weeks, strange and inexplicable events began to plague the friends. It started with minor incidents. Objects moving on their own, strange noises in the dead of night, and chilling whispers in the darkness. They brushed off these occurrences as mere coincidences, but the incidents escalated. Claire was the first to suffer a bizarre accident. She tripped and fell down a flight of stairs, breaking her arm in the process. Then came the inexplicable car crash involving Mark, who narrowly escaped with only minor injuries. It was as though they were being targeted by something unexplainable. One evening, as they gathered to discuss their mounting fears, they received a chilling message from an unknown number. "You can't escape," it read. The group exchanged nervous glances, realizing that their ordeal was far from over. They decided to take drastic measures, delete the Spirit Link app and erase their phones completely, but it proved impossible. No matter what they did, the app remained, its icon a constant reminder of their haunted past. Desperation gnawed at them, and they agreed to meet once more at the mansion. It was their only chance to communicate with Emily and find out what was happening. They needed to understand why their lives had taken such a terrifying turn. On a stormy night, they returned to the mansion, huddling together for warmth and support. Claire opened the SpiritLink app one last time and typed, "Emily, please, tell us what's happening. How can we stop this?" The messages from Emily flowed rapidly, revealing a chilling truth. Emily was not the only spirit they had encountered in the mansion. There were others, vengeful, dangerous entities who sought to claim the living. Emily had tried to protect them, but she couldn't hold them back any longer. "You must appease them," Emily's message read. "Offer them a soul in exchange for yours." The group recoiled in horror. They couldn't possibly sacrifice someone to these evil spirits, but as they discussed their options, an unsettling realization washed over them. It was as if the spirits were listening to their conversation. Their whispered deliberations filled the room as they contemplated their choices. The very air seemed to absorb their words, carrying them into the unseen void that surrounded them. It was as if the spirits were eavesdropping, growing more agitated with each passing moment. "We can't just give in to their demands," Mark insisted, his voice wavering but determined. "We need to find another way, a way to break free from this curse." Claire nodded, her face pale but resolute. "We can't become like them, no matter what they threaten. There must be a way to banish them or make amends." The group brainstormed ideas, desperate for a solution that wouldn't involve harming another person. They considered contacting paranormal experts, priests, or mediums who might help them understand and appease the spirits. But they couldn't ignore the possibility that the malevolent entities wouldn't be satisfied with anything less than a life. As they debated, the room grew colder, and the oppressive presence seemed to intensify. The walls of the mansion seemed to close in on them, and the shadows deepened, swallowing the feeble light from their flashlights. "Look, we have to talk to Emily," Claire said, her voice trembling. "She knows more about these spirits than we do. Maybe she can help us." Mark hesitated, his eyes darting around the room as if expecting something to jump out of the darkness. But what if Emily is one of them? What if she's been playing us all along? The group exchanged uncertain glances. They had grown close to Emily, but the doubt gnawed at them. Had they been manipulated by the spirits? Was Emily a pawn in this game? Despite their doubts, they decided to reach out to Emily one last time. Claire typed a message into the SpiritLink app. "Emily, we need your help. Can you guide us to a solution that doesn't involve harming anyone?" The response was swift. "I'll try, but they're angry. They won't be easily appeased." The spirit's presence grew more palpable, and a sense of dread settled over the group as they waited for Emily's guidance. Her messages came in fragments, filled with cryptic instructions and warnings about the other spirits' growing rage. With Emily's guidance, they embarked on a series of rituals meant to cleanse the mansion and appease the malevolent entities. They gathered candles, salt, and other arcane ingredients, following instructions they couldn't fully comprehend. The rituals led them through the mansion, from room to room, as they attempted to quell the spirit's anger. But the malevolent entities fought back with a terrifying ferocity. The very house seemed to come alive, its walls shifting and pulsating with dark energy. The friends encountered apparitions, grotesque and contorted, their eyes filled with malice. They were scratched, pushed, and tormented by unseen forces. As they neared the climax of their rituals, they realized the spirits were not seeking appeasement. They craved vengeance. Their wrath was unstoppable, and the friends understood the grim reality. They were marked for death. In a desperate bid to escape, the group fled the mansion, leaving behind the Sinister app that had brought them into this nightmare. They scattered to their homes, hoping that distance would protect them, but the spirits followed. The friends experienced a series of relentless hauntings. Night after night, they were tormented by apparitions and grotesque visions. They became sleep-deprived, their lives spiraling into madness and despair. They tried to seek help from anyone who would listen, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. One by one, they suffered accidents that grew increasingly severe. Sophie, overcome by a relentless phantom, plunged from her balcony, her life extinguished in a tragic fall. The rest of the group realized that the spirits wouldn't stop until they claimed every last one of them. Desperation drove them to attempt to escape the curse once more. They decided to destroy their phones, believing that the cursed app was the source of their torment. They smashed their devices to bits, praying for an end to the relentless hauntings. But the curse was far from over. Their new phones, fresh from the store, held a sinister surprise. When they turned them on, the Spirit Link app reappeared, a grim reminder of their inescapable fate. As fear and hopelessness tightened its grip, they were left with no choice but to communicate with the spirits once more. They needed answers. They needed to understand why the spirits had targeted them, and they needed to find a way to break free from this relentless curse. Gathering back at the mansion, the friends that remained reopened the accursed app, their trembling fingers typing messages into the void. "What do you want from us?" Claire pleaded. "Why won't you leave us alone?" The spirits responded with a cacophony of evil messages, their words a twisted chorus of torment and vengeance. They demanded souls, as they always had, souls to replace those they had lost to the darkness. One of the friends screamed, "Emily, help us," but that seemed to enrage the spirits. The lights completely out, the darkened room became colder and colder. The friends tried to leave, but it seemed like something was chasing them. They ran up the stairs in hopes finding an open window or something to escape, but that's what led to their downfall. One friend fell down the stairs and broke her neck, while another fell out the window trying to climb out. Only Claire remained. She began begging for her life, closing her eyes hoping to wake up from this nightmare. Until everything felt as if it had all stopped, the mansion fell silent and light began to turn on. When Claire opened her eyes, she saw all her friends around her smiling. She thought the nightmare was over, but they surrounded Claire and whispered to her, "This is your fault. You belong here with us." Claire began to scream, but those screams fell on deaf ears as Claire's friends continued to move closer and closer to Claire, until the lights went out and the room was now empty. The halls were silent, and only a gust of wind can be heard outside the window. There were no signs that anyone had been in that mansion for years.